Hello and welcome to the first lecture of this SQL course. In this lecture, I will give you a small overview of what SQL is and why is it used. But before that, let us first understand what is data. In today's world, data is everything. But if I had to give a proper definition for it, then data are known facts related to any object into consideration. For example, your name, age, height, weight, etc. are some data related to you. But how is this data stored? Earlier, this data was stored into big file cabinets, but now we store it online into something called as a database. So a database is nothing but a structured organization of data. To play with this data in database, one needs to know the language that is understood by the database, and that language is SQL. SQL stands for Structured Query Language. If we want to add, pull, or edit information in a database, we use SQL for that. MySQL and PostgreSQL, these two are the database systems in which we can run our SQL queries. So what is SQL? It is a database language which is used for database creation, deletion, fetching and modifying rows. It is not case sensitive, by which it means that the keywords in SQL can be written in uppercase or lowercase, it doesn't matter. But when was this SQL developed? This SQL was developed in 1970s by the IBM researchers Raymond Boyce and Donald Chamberlain. Now let's see the data types in SQL. What is a data type? A data type defines the kind of data that will go into a particular column. Let's understand it with the help of an example. Suppose there is a hotel management system which has a table by the name guest. In that table, there are three columns: guest name, contact number, and date and time of check-in and check-out. In the first column, that is the guest name column, the values that will be entered will be in the form of characters. So the data type that will be used in the first column is character data type. In the second column, that is the contact number column, the values that will be entered will be in the form of numerals. So the data type used in the second column will be numeric data type. But in the third column, that is the date and time of check-in and check-out, neither the string data type nor the numeric one will be useful. So in this case, the third data type, that is the date and time data type, will come into picture. So these are the three data types that we will be using in SQL queries. So that's it for this lecture. Thank you. Hello. In this lecture, we will learn about the DDL commands. DDL or Data Definition Language is used to create and maintain the database and tables. SQL provides 5 DDL commands: create, alter, drop, truncate, and rename. Let's study these commands in detail. First is the create command. As a first step, we can create a new database with the help of a simple SQL command, and the syntax for doing that is create database, database name. For example, if I want to create a database named test, I'll write the query as create database test. After executing this query, it will create a database named test for me. After creating a database, if we want to add a table into that database, we'll write the query as create table, table name, and in round brackets, we will add the name of columns which we want to add into that table. For example, if I want to create a table named student, and in that table I want to add columns like student ID, name, email, address, department, I'll write it as follows. We also have to specify the data type that is associated with every column. For example, in student ID column, the data type will be int because it will accept numeric values. Whereas for the other columns, the data type is varchar because it will accept string values. In bracket, we have to specify the size according to the requirement. Now, how do we modify a table once we have created it? For that, we will use the alter command. Alter command is used to add, modify, and delete columns of an existing database. Let's see a query to add a column into a table. It is alter table, table name, add column name and its data type. For example, there is a table in which I want to add a column named department. So I'll do that as alter table student add department, which is the name of column which I want to add, and then I'll add the data type, that is varchar, because department will take string values. So I have added the data type varchar. So after executing this query, it will add a column named department. If we want to delete a column from a table, we'll write the query as alter table, table name, drop column, and then we'll specify the name of column which we want to delete. For example, in this table, if I want to delete the column named department ID, in that case, I'll write the query as alter table student, drop column department ID. After executing this query, it will delete the column named department ID from the table. We can also modify a column with the help of alter command. For example, in a table, there is a column named email and we do not want that column to accept null values. So in that case, we will write the query as alter table student, modify email, then I'll specify the data type and after that I'll write not null. So after executing this query, the column named email will not accept any null values. Now suppose not just a column, but you want to delete the entire table or database. In that case, we will use the drop command. Syntax for drop command is drop database and then we'll have to write the database name, or if you want to drop a table, the command will be drop table, table name. For example, if I want to delete a table named student, I'll write the command as drop table student. Next DDL command is truncate. Suppose you want to delete old records in order to add new ones, but you want to preserve the structure of the table. In that case, you will use truncate command. So what truncate command does is it removes all the records from a table, but it will not destroy the structure of the table. Syntax for truncate is truncate table and then we'll have to specify the table name. For example, if I want to delete all the records of a table named student, I'll write the query as truncate table student. Last DDL command is rename. Rename command sets a new name for any existing table. The syntax for rename is rename table, then we'll have to write the existing table name. After that, add a keyword to and write the new table name that you want to give to your table. For example, if I want to change the name of table from student to student details, I'll write the query as rename table student to student details. So these are the DDL commands in SQL, and that's it for this lecture. Thank you. Hello. In this lecture, we will understand the DML commands in SQL. DML stands for Data Manipulation Language. It is used to add, delete, or modify an existing data in a table. So earlier in DDL, we were dealing with the structure of the table, that is addition, deletion, and modification of columns and tables and databases. But in DML, we will deal with the data in those columns. There are 4 DML commands in SQL. First is the select command. Second is the insert command. Third is update. And fourth one is delete. Let's study these commands in detail. First is the select command. This is a very important command in SQL. It is used to select a set of data or information from a table. With the help of this command, we can retrieve information or just view a set of information from a table. Syntax for this command is select column name that you want to see from table name. For example, if there is a table with the name student and there are 3 columns in that student table, that is student name, contact number and ID. And if I just want to view the names of students, I'll write the query as select student name from student. So it will display the student names from that table. If I want to view all the data from that table, I'll write the query as select star from student, where star depicts all the data from that table. Second command is the insert command. If you want to enter a row or record into a table, you can do it with the help of insert command. The syntax for this command is insert into table name and then the values that you want to enter. For example, if in a table named student, I want to add a new record and that table has 3 columns, ID, name and contact number, then how will we add a new record? In this way shown. You can also specify the column names while writing the query. So, while adding a new record, we can write it as insert into student, then write the column names in that table, that is student ID, name and phone number, and then add the values that you want to see in those respective columns. Next table command is update. Using this command, we can update data of an existing column in a database. We can update both single column and multiple columns as per requirement. For example, in this table, there are 3 columns, student ID, name and department ID. If I want to update the name Emma to Rachel, how will I write the query? Update student, set name is equals to Rachel, where student ID is 3. Now in this command, we have used a clause which is very important in SQL, that is the where clause. We will study this clause further in the further lectures in detail, but for now just remember the syntax. So after executing this query, Emma will be updated to Rachel. You can also write this query in this way. Update student, set name is equals to Rachel, where department ID is equals to 103. In this case also, it will show the similar output because department ID and student ID both have unique values. Next command is the delete command. If you want to delete a record from a table, you can use this command. In this command too, we will use where clause, which we will study in further lectures. This is the syntax for deleting a record from a table. Delete from table name and after that add a where condition. Example, if this is a table and if I want to delete the last record from this table, I'll write the query as delete from student, where student ID is equals to 5. So it will search for that row which has student ID 5 and it will delete that row. So we will get an output without the 5th row. So these are the DML commands in SQL. Thank you. Hello. In this lecture, we will learn the DCL commands in SQL. The main purpose of creating a database is to store information in a secure way. Many organizations and firms use SQL to store their private information, and they will never want their information to reach an unauthorized person. So, to control how a person accesses the database, we make use of data control language. This is a component of SQL which is related to security issues of a database. There are 2 commands present in DCL. First is grant and second one is revoke. Let's see these 2 commands in detail. First is the grant command. So grant is used to provide user any privilege to access a database. In simple words, grant allows a user to access the database. This is the syntax for granting the privilege, where you will have to specify the privilege name, object name, and to whom you want to grant that privilege to. If you want to grant it only to a specific person, you will have to add his username or role name. But if you want to make it public, you can do it as well. For example, if you want to allow a user to create a table into a database, then the command will be grant create table to username. This will allow that person to create any table into the database. In the same way, if we want to allow a user to view a column in the table, the command will be grant select on employee to username, where select is the privilege name, employee is the object name, and user is the person to whom you want to grant that privilege to. Second DCL command is revoke. Now revoke does the exact opposite of what grant does. Revoke is used to withdraw the user's access to the database. In simple words, revoke prevents the user from accessing the database. Let's see the syntax for revoke command. So we'll have to specify the privilege name, object name, and then from whom you want to prevent that access from. For example, if we want to prevent any person from creating a table, we'll write the command as revoke create table from username. So these are the two commands in DCL. Thank you. Hello, in this lecture we will learn the different keys in SQL. So what is a key? A DBMS or an SQL key is an attribute or set of attributes which help you to uniquely identify a record or a row of data in a relation. Through keys, we can ensure that the integrity of data is maintained. Keys are also used to establish and identify the relationship between tables. There are 6 types of keys in SQL. First is the super key, candidate key, primary key, alternate key, foreign key, and composite key. Let's study each of them in detail. First is the super key. What is a super key? It is the set of attributes that uniquely identify rows in a table. It is a superset of key in which all possible keys are included. Consider this table. In this table, name and department ID can't be the keys because 2 people can have the same name and 2 people can belong to one department as well. So these 2 columns cannot have unique values. But if you see the remaining columns, that is the student ID, phone number, email, these 3 will have unique values because 2 people can't have the same phone number or email ID. So the super keys will be student ID, phone number, and email. In super keys, the combination of 2 or more keys is also taken. So the super keys will also be student ID plus email, phone number plus email, student ID plus phone number, and student ID plus phone number plus email. So these all will be under super key. So super key is nothing but a superset of all the keys. Next key is the candidate key. What is the candidate key? A candidate key is the minimal subset of super key. In candidate key, we will not take the combinations of 2 or more keys. Instead, we will only take individual keys. So in this table, the candidate keys are student ID, phone number, and email. Next is primary key. So primary key is a subset of candidate key which is used to uniquely identify each row of data in a table. A primary key should not be null. So in this case, now you might be wondering that all the 3 candidate keys can be a primary key because all the 3 are used to uniquely identify a row. So in that case, we can make any one of the candidate key as primary key. This is generally done by the database administrator, but usually we prefer using student ID as the primary key because it makes it easier to search for a particular student in database. Next key is the alternate key. Alternate key is a part of candidate key but not a part of primary key. It contains unique values. Therefore, all the remaining candidate keys which are not selected as primary keys will be called alternate keys. So in the previous example, we have selected student ID as the primary key, then email ID and phone number will be the alternate keys. Next key is the foreign key. So foreign key is an attribute in a table which is used to define its relationship with another table. Foreign key helps in maintaining data integrity for tables in relationship. For this, we will have to involve another table into our data, into our example. Suppose we have two tables. First table name is student and other table's name is department. In the students table, take the department ID as foreign key to set up differential integrity or relationship between table student and department. In this way, while adding a new student entry, a wrong department ID cannot be provided as the database will return an error. Similarly, if someone deletes department's entry or updates department ID in the department table, it will have to change same in the students table too. Generally, this is not allowed by the database as it returns an error if someone tries to modify the column value which is used as a foreign key in some other table. Hence, in this way, we can force integrity of data in a relationship using foreign key. Moving on to the next key, that is the composite key. A composite key can have multiple attributes, hence all the super keys with more than one attribute are also composite keys. In this example, the composite key will be student ID plus email, phone number plus email, student ID plus phone number, student ID plus phone number plus email. So, what is a composite key? It is a subset of super key which is not a part of candidate key. So, these are the keys in SQL. Thank you. Hello. In this lecture, we will be understanding the aggregate functions in SQL. So, why do we use aggregate functions? An aggregate function is used to group multiple rows together as input to provide a single value output. It performs a calculation on the set of values and return a single value. Basic SQL provides 5 aggregate functions. First is average value, then there is minimum value, maximum value, sum of values, and at the end count, that is number of values. Let's study each of them in detail. First is average function. Here is a table. Let's assume the name of this table is student. It has 4 columns: student ID, name, department ID, and marks. Suppose we want to find the average marks that are scored by all the students. We can do it with the help of aggregate functions. We'll just have to write this query. Select average marks from student where average is an aggregate function. After executing this query, it will take the arithmetic mean of all the marks scored and will return the average marks as its output. The second aggregate function is min. Let's say we want to find the minimum marks that are scored by a student. In that case, we will write the query as select min marks from students. After executing this query, the minimum marks scored by a student will be displayed. In this case, the minimum marks are 34, which are scored by Bob. Next is max. In this case, we can find the maximum marks that are scored by a particular student. In the query, just in place of min, we have to write max this time. Rest everything remains the same. So the query is select max marks from student and it will display the maximum marks that are scored by a particular student. In this case, the maximum marks are 67, which are scored by Rachel. The fourth aggregate function is sum. In case of sum, it will give us the addition of all the values. So by writing this query, select sum marks from students, it will take the addition of all the marks that are scored by the students and will return the addition as an output. The last aggregate function is count. So count is used to find how many number of rows a particular column has. We just have to specify the column name in the query. So if you see the second query, I have selected the column marks and I've written the query as select count marks from students. So it will count the number of rows that this column has. Now in place of marks, we can specify any other column name as well, like student ID, name or department ID. It doesn't matter because every column has equal number of rows. Or you can also write this query as select count star from student, where star depicts all the columns. So it will directly count the number of records that a particular table has. So you can see in the output, we have got the value 5 because there are 5 rows in this table. So this is all about the aggregate functions in SQL. Thank you. Hello, in this lecture, we will learn about the different clauses in SQL. So why do we use clauses? Clauses are a very important part of SQL. Clauses are built-in functions to examine the data quickly. Clauses are used to deal with the data easily stored in the database. Clauses help you to modify your data easily according to the requirement. There are 4 clauses in SQL: where clause, group by clause, order by clause, and having clause. Let's see each of them in detail. First clause is the where clause. Where clause is used when you have to specify a condition that has to be obeyed while data is being pulled from the table. It is also used to join multiple tables. Where clause is not only used with select statement but also with update and delete queries. The syntax for where clause is select column name from table name where condition, which is used if you want to impose some restriction or condition. Let's take an example. Assume the name of this table is student and we want to find the details of the students who belong to department 102. In that case, we will write the query as select star from student where department ID is equals to 102. Here, department ID is equals to 102 is the condition that we have applied in order to get the details of those students who belong to 102. So in the output table, we can see all the information about the students who belong to that particular department. So in this case, there are 2 students, Bob and Rachel, who belong to department 102. So we can see their details in the output table. Let's take one more example. Suppose we want to find out the name and student ID of those students who have age greater than or equal to 18 and marks less than 16. In that case, we will write the query as select student ID name because we only want to view these 2 columns from student where age is greater than or equal to 18 and marks less than 60. After executing this query, it will filter out the table according to the condition. In this table, only Alice and Bob have age greater than or equal to 18 and marks less than 60, so their student ID and name is displayed. The next clause that we are going to study is the group by clause. Group by clause is used to divide the outcome into groups based on the values specified in it. It is used with select query to arrange identical data in groups. Group by clause must always follow where condition. The syntax for group by clause is select column name from table name where condition group by column name. Let's understand this with the help of an example. For example, if we want to display all the department IDs along with the number of students belonging to that particular department, means if we want to find out how many students belong to each department. So in that case, we will make use of group by clause. Using group by clause, we are making groups of every department so that after making groups, we can count the number of students belonging to every department. The query will be select department ID count star, where count is an aggregate function which we will use over here to count the number of students belonging to each department. Then we will have to write the table name, that is student in this case, and group by department ID. Now in this, since we have written group by department ID, we have to write department ID in the select statement as well. Whichever column you will choose for group by clause, that same column you will have to write in the select statement as well. So in the output, you can see there are two columns. First is the department ID column, since we have grouped by department ID. And then in the count star column, you can see how many students belong to each department. So in this case, there is one student who belongs to department 101, two students belong to department 102, and two students belong to department 103. Let's take one more example. If I want to group students on the basis of their age, I will write the query as select age, count age from student group by age. So that in the output you will see there are two students who have age 20, one student who have age 17, one student who have age 18 and 16. Next clause is the order by clause. Order by clause is used to sort the output in either ascending or descending order. If you don't specify which order you want, ascending or descending, then it will sort in ascending order by default. The syntax for order by clause is select column name from table name where condition and then order by ascending or descending. Order by clause is always used after the where condition. Let's take an example of this table. If you want to sort this table according to the names in an alphabetical order, we will write the query as select star from student order by name. Since we have not specified which order, it will by default sort in the ascending order. So that in the output, we will have names in the following order: Alice, Bob, Carrie, Rachel, and then Sky. That is the alphabetical order or ascending order. But if you want to sort in descending order of names, then we'll write the query as select star from student and order by name in descending order. So that in the output table, the first name will be Sky, since it comes last in the alphabetical order. Then there will be Rachel, Carrie, Bob, and at last Alice. Last clause is having clause. So having clause is used after group by clause. It limits the query output returned by the group by clause, and it is somewhat similar to where clause. The syntax for having clause is select column name from table name where condition and then group by column name, and then at the end having condition. It is always used after the group by clause. Let us understand it with the help of a table. For example, in this table, if we want to find out how many departments have more than one student, so in that case, first we will have to group our table into departments. So the query for that will be select department ID, count star from student, group by department ID. So after this, we have grouped our table into according to the departments. And after grouping into departments, we will apply the having condition. Since we have to find out all those departments who have more than one student, we'll write the having condition as having count star greater than 1, where count is an aggregate function. So after executing this query, the output table will filter out all the rows to display those departments who have more than one student. So in this case, department 102 and 103 have more than one students. That's why they are displayed in the output. Let's take one more example. Suppose if we want to find out two or more people or of equal age, we'll write the query as follows. First, we will have to group people on the basis of their age. So we'll write select age, count star from student, group by age. So after this, the table will be grouped according to the ages. After that, we have to add a filter, that is, we have to find out only those age groups which have more than one people in it. So we'll write the having condition as having count star greater than 1. So after executing this query, we will get all those age groups who have more than one people in it. So over here, only age 20 has 2 people in it. So it will be displayed in the output. So that's all about the clauses in SQL. Thank you. Hello. In this lecture, we will learn about the set operations in SQL. So what is a set operator? Set operators allow you to combine the results of multiple sets into a single result set. For example, if I want to run two separate select statements but return only one result set, then in that case I can use set operators to achieve this. The set operators available in SQL Server are union operator, union all operator. This could just be classed as union operator. Then there is intersect operator and minus operator. Let's study each of them in detail. First is union operator. Union operator is used to combine the distinct result of two or more select statements. But while doing so, there is a condition that the number of data type and columns must be same in both the tables. Here we have the syntax for union operation. Select column name from table 1, union, select column name from table 2. For example, if we have two tables named table 1 and table 2, and we want to combine these two tables, so we will write the query as select star from 1, union, select star from 2. So in the resultant table will contain all the rows from table 1 and table 2. Union operator will also remove duplicate rows. In these two tables, rows with student ID 3 and 4 are duplicated, which will be removed from the resultant set. Next is the union all operator. How is this operator different from the union operator? It will combine two tables without removing the duplicate rows. That is, it will retain the duplicate rows. The syntax for union all operator is select column name from table 1, union all, select column name from table 2. So for example, if there are two tables and we want to combine them without removing the duplicate rows, we will write the query as select star from 1, union all, select star from 2, so that the resultant table will be a combined output of both these tables without removing the duplicate values. Next is the intersect operator. So intersect operator returns common rows from both the select statements, and the output that we get is in ascending order by default. In intersect operation, data type and number of columns must be same. The syntax for intersect operator is select column name from table 1, intersect, select column name from table 2. So for example, if we have these two tables, intersect operation will return those rows that are common to these two tables. The query for intersect operation is select star from 1, intersect, select star from 2. So in this case, the common rows are with student ID 3 and 4. So it will return these two rows in the output table. Next operator is the minus operator. Minus operator returns only those records which are present in the first table and absent in the second one. Data is arranged in ascending order by default. The syntax for minus operation is select column name from table 1 minus select column name from table 2. For example, in these two tables, table 1 and table 2, if we apply minus operation, that is table 1 minus table 2, then it will return all those rows that are present in table 1 but not in table 2. The query for the same will be select star from 1 minus select star from 2. So in this case, the rows with student ID 1 and 2 will be returned as they are not present in the second table. So these are the set operations present in SQL. Thank you. Hello. In this lecture, we will study about the different joins in SQL. So what are joins? Joins combine rows from two or more tables based on a related column or a common column between them. So SQL provides 7 types of joins. First is natural join, then there is inner join, left join or left outer join, right join or right outer join, full join, Cartesian join or cross join, and self join. Let's study each of them in detail. First is natural join. In natural join, two tables are joined based on all common columns. So all the attributes of both the tables will be kept, but only one copy of each column will be there. That is, the duplicate common column will be removed. Let's see the syntax for natural join. Select star from table 1, natural join table 2. So we have to specify the column names, or we have to specify star, which means all the columns, and then we have to write the table names on which we have to perform the natural join. So let's understand it with the help of an example. For example, we have two tables by the name student and student department. So student table has 4 attributes: department ID, student ID, name and marks. And student department table has 2 attributes: department ID and department name. So first we have to find the common column between these two tables in order to perform natural join. So in this case, the common column is department ID. So the tables will be merged based on the matching values of this department ID column. In the first row of the student table, you will see the department ID is 101. So it will look for a matching value in the other table, that is the student department table. So in the student department table, 101 department ID is present, and the department name corresponding to that ID is mechanical department. So in that case, matching value is found, and it will merge these two rows based on the common column. So we'll write the query as select star from student, natural join student department. So as you can see, the two tables are merged, that is Alice belongs to department 101 and 101 corresponds to mechanical department. So Alice belongs to mechanical department. In using the similar logic, the other columns will also be merged based on the matching values of department ID. So in this case, Ross and Monica have department ID 104 and 105, which doesn't have any value of department name in the student department table. So the details of Ross and Monica will not be mentioned in the output table. Next is the inner join. So inner join returns those records that have matching values in both the tables. And the resulting table will contain the attributes from both the tables, including common column also. So this is the Venn diagram of inner join, and the syntax for it is select table 1 dot column 1. So in this we'll specify the columns we want to see in the output table, and in this case we'll have to write the table name as well. Earlier we used to write the select statement directly using select and then the column names, but over here since we are using two tables, we'll have to specify table name dot column name. So from table 1 inner join table 2, on table 1 matching column is equals to table 2 dot matching column. So this last statement is very important in inner join. Let's understand it with the help of an example. So if these are the two tables and we want to execute student inner join student department, and first it will look for common columns, which is department ID in this case, and then it will match the values in those columns. Like department 101 has Alice, so according to the second table, department 101 belongs to mechanical department, so it will combine those two rows. The difference between natural join and inner join is that natural join used to remove the duplicate common column, but over here it is not removed, which is why we can see there are two columns named department ID in the output table. And also in natural join we didn't have to write this last statement of the query, that is student dot department ID is equals to student department dot department ID, but in inner join we have to mention it. Next is left join or left outer join. So what left outer join does is it returns all rows from the left table even if there are no matches in the right table. So these are the this is the Venn diagram of left outer join, and the syntax for it is select the column names you want in the output table from table 1 left join table 2 on table 1 matching table 1 dot matching column is equals to table 2 dot matching column. For example, if these are the two tables and we want to execute student left join student department, in that case we'll write the query as select student dot student ID student dot name student department dot department name from student left join student department, and on student dot department ID is equals to student department dot department ID. So what left join will do is it will display all the records from the selected columns of the left table as it is. So from the left table, student ID and name are selected and all the rows under that column will be displayed, and then it will check for the department name of those students with the help of department ID, which is the common column. So Alice has department ID 101 and 101 corresponds to mechanical department. So Alice belongs to mechanical department. So in this way it will check for the remaining rows, and in this case in left outer join it will accept null values as well. So in the previous joins, since Ross and Monica had department IDs 104 and 105 which did not correspond to any department name, so we didn't include their details. But in this case we have to include all the values from the left table since it is left join. So in this case we'll have to include Ross and Monica as well, but since they do not have any department name, it will display null values over there. So that's it in this for this lecture. We'll continue the remaining joins in the next lecture. Thank you. Hello. In the previous lecture, we saw natural join, inner join and left outer join. In this lecture, we will study right join, full join, cross join and self join. Let's start with right join. So what is right join? So right join returns all rows from the right table even if there are no matches in the left table. This is the Venn diagram for right join, and the syntax for it is select all the column names that you want from table 1 right join table 2 on table 1 dot matching column is equals to table 2 dot matching column. For example, if we want to find student right join student department, we'll write the query as select student dot student id comma student dot name student department dot department name from student right join student department on student dot department id is equals to student department dot department id. So it will display all the records from the selected columns of right table. In this case, from right table only department names is selected. So it will display all the department names and will find out the student names and IDs belonging to that department with the help of the common column, that is department ID. Here, computer science and civil have department ID 106 and 107, which do not correspond to any student name or ID. So it has displayed null values. So again over here same concept is applied. Since 101 ID belongs to mechanical department in the second table, and in the first table 101 belongs to Alice, so Alice belongs to mechanical. The same logic is applied over here too. Just in case of computer science and civil, the department IDs are not matching, so it will display null values. Next is full join. Full join returns rows when there is a match in one of the tables. So this is the Venn diagram for full join, and the syntax for it is select all the column names from table 1 full join table 2 on table 1 dot matching column is equals to table 2 dot matching column. For example, from these two tables, if we want to find student full join student department, we'll write the query as rest everything remains the same. We have to select the columns we want from student full join student department. So only these keywords like full join, natural join, these keywords change. Rest all the syntax remains the same. So on student dot department ID is equals to student department dot department ID. So it will take all the records from the selected columns, that is student ID and name from the student table, and then it will assign a department name to those with the help of the department ID. After that, after assigning department name to all the students, it will look in the student department table for the remaining department names. So in the output table, mechanical, electronics and IT departments are already displayed. So which departments are remaining? Computer science and civil. So it will write these two departments after that and will display null values for it. Since computer science and civil have department IDs 106 and 107, which do not correspond to any name or student ID in the first table, that's why null values are displayed. Similarly, for Ross and Monica also, the department IDs are 104 and 105, which do not correspond to any value in the second table. That's why over there also null values are displayed. Next join is Cartesian join or cross join. So what this join does is it returns the Cartesian product of the set of records from two or more joined tables. Let's understand it. The syntax for cross join is select all the column names from the tables from table 1 cross join table 2. For example, if you want to find student cross join student department, we'll write the query as select student dot name student dot marks and student department dot department name. If you want to display all the details, you can write star as well. From student cross join student department on student dot department ID is equals to student department dot department ID. So after executing this query, it will multiply every row of table 1 with every row of table 2. So you can see the first row of first table, that is name and marks of Alice are multiplied with every department name of the second table. Since we have selected only the department name from the second table, it is multiplied only with the department name column. You can see Alice has also been allotted mechanical, electronics, IT departments. So in this way, every row of table 1 is multiplied with every row of table 2 in cross join. Last join is self join. It is used to join the table itself. So in cross join, we were using two tables. We were multiplying the rows of two tables. But in self join, we will multiply a table with itself. That is, first row of table will be multiplied with all the rows of that same table. After multiplying, then we'll consider second row. That is, second row will be multiplied by all the rows. And this will continue till the last row is multiplied by all the rows of that table. The syntax for self join is select A dot column 1, B dot column 2 from table name A, table name B, where and then some condition. So what is this table name A and table name 2? Since we are multiplying the table by itself, we have converted that single table in two parts which have same rows and columns. We have converted the same table into A and B. For example, if I want to find the student ID of a student who has enrolled in at least 2 subjects, so in that case, I'll have to apply self join on the table student, that is student ID 1 and subject ID 101 will get multiplied with student ID and subject ID of every row. After performing multiplication, this is the table that we'll see. This is the result of the cross product of student A and student B. So you can see every row of this table is multiplied with every other row of this table. So after this table is displayed, we'll apply where condition. So where condition says that A dot student ID is equals to B dot student ID and A dot subject ID is not equal to B dot subject ID. So after applying this where condition, we'll find the student ID of those students who have enrolled in more than one subject. So this is the output you will get. Student ID 1 has enrolled in more than one subject, which is why his student ID is displayed. So this is all about joins. In this lecture, we will learn about the different operators in SQL. So what is an operator? An operator is a reserved word or a character which is used with the where clause to perform various operations. These operators are used to specify conditions in an SQL statement and they serve as a conjunction for multiple conditions in a statement. So there are 4 types of operators in SQL. First are the arithmetic operators, then comparison operator, logical operators, and bitwise operators. In this lecture, we will see arithmetic, comparison, and bitwise operators in detail. Let's start with the arithmetic operators. So when you need to perform calculations in an SQL statement, you will use arithmetic expressions. An arithmetic expression can contain column names, numeric numbers, and arithmetic operators. So let's see the different types of arithmetic operators. First is the add operator, which is used to add two operators. So if you write the query as select 20 plus 10, it will display output as 30. Next is the subtract operator, which subtracts right operator from the left one. So after writing the query as select 50 minus 15, it will display output as 35. Then there is multiply operator for multiplying two operators. So if you write select 14 into 18, it will display that multiplication, that is 252 in the output. Division operator for dividing the left operator by right one. So if you write select 50 divided by 5, it will result output as 10. Last arithmetic operator is modulus operator. So what modulus operator does is, it divides left operator by right one and then returns the remainder. So if you write select 50 mod 10, then it will divide 50 by 10 and then it will return the remainder. In this case, the remainder is 0. So next operators are comparison operators, and this is the table which we will use as an example for studying those operators. So let's see what is a comparison operator. So comparison operators are used in where clause to determine which records to select. There are different types of comparison operators. First one is equal to operator. It checks if the left operand is equal to the right operand. If true, then it returns. If equal, then it returns true. For example, in this table, if we want to find out the number of students who have age is equals to 20, then we'll write the query as select star from students, where star means all the data, from student is the table name, where age is equals to 20. So it will look out for those rows which have age written as 20. So in this case, Alice and Bob have age 20. So their details will be displayed in the output. Next is the greater than operator. Greater than operator checks if the left operand is greater than the right operand, and if it is greater, then it returns true. For example, in this table, if we want to find out the details of those students who have age greater than 17, then we'll write the query as select star from students where age is greater than 17. So in the output, it will display the records of Alice, Bob and Carrie since they have age greater than 17. Next is less than operator. So less than operator checks if the left operand is less than the right operand. If it's less, then it returns true. For example, in this table, if you want to find out the details of those students who have age less than 18, then we'll write the query as select star from students where age is less than 18. So in the output table, you can see the details of Rachel and Sky since they have age less than 16. Next operator is the greater than equal to operator. So what greater than equal to does is, it checks if the left operand is greater than or equal to the right operand. So in greater than operator, we used to check only if it's greater, but in greater than equal to, we'll check if it's equal to as well. If yes, then it will return true. For example, from this table, if we want to select the details of those students who have age greater than or equal to 18, we'll write the query as select star from students where age is greater than or equal to 18. So it will display the output, which will have details of Alice, Bob and Carrie since they have age greater than equal to 18. In this table, details of Carrie will also be displayed since his age is 18. Next is less than equal to operator. So what less than equal to operator does is, it checks if the left operand is less than or equal to the right operand. If yes, then it returns true. For example, from this table, if you want to find the details of those students who have age less than or equal to 18, we'll write the query as select star from students where age is less than or equal to 18. So in the output table, you can see details of Rachel, Carrie and Sky are displayed since they have age less than or equal to 18. Next operator is not equal to operator. So what not equal to operator does is, it checks if the values of operands is equal or not. If it's not equal, then it returns true. So for example, from this table, we want to find the details of those students who have age not equal to 18. So it will look for those rows whose age is not it will look for those students who have age not equal to 17. So in this case, Alice, Bob, Carrie and Sky have age not equal to 18. So their details will be displayed in the output table. You have to select those records who don't have age 17. Next operator is not greater than operator. So not greater than checks if the left operand is not greater than the right operand. If yes, then it returns true. For example, from this table, if I want to find the details of those students who have age not greater than 18, so I'll write the query as select star from students where age is not greater than 18. So it will display all those students who have age less than 18. So less than or equal to 18. We just don't want the values who have age greater than 18, but we can choose the values that have age equal to or less than 18. Next is not less than operator. Not less than checks if the left operand is not less than the right operand. If yes, then it returns true. For example, from this table, if I want to find the details of those students who have age not less than 18, that is who have age greater than or equal to 18, we'll write the query as select star from students where age is not less than 18. So in the output table, details of Alice, Carrie and Bob will be displayed as they have age greater than or equal to 18. So next operators are bitwise operators. So bitwise operators are used to perform bit manipulations between expressions of any data of the integer type category. So there are three bitwise operators: bitwise AND, OR and exclusive OR. So let's study them in detail. First is the bitwise AND operator. It performs logical AND. If you have studied logic gates, you might know what is AND and OR table. But if not, I'll tell you now. So what AND table says is, if bits of both operands are 1, then the result is 1, else it is 0. So for AND operation to be true, both the bits should be 1. For example, if this is the query, select 18 and 16 as result. So what will it do? It will first convert these two numbers in binary form. So 18's binary form is 0, 0, 0, 1, 0, 0, 1, 0. And 16's binary form is 0, 0, 0, 1, 0, 0, 0, 0. So after converting it into binary form, after that we'll perform the AND operation. So this is the output that you will get after AND operation. Now if you see the fourth bit of both the numbers, the fourth bit is 1 for both the numbers. So in that case, according to AND table, if both the operands are 1, then the result will be 1. As you can see, the fourth bit of the output is 1 because both the operands are 1. In the rest cases, either one operand is 1 or no bit is 1. So in that case, the rest of bits will be 0 and only fourth bit will be 1. So this fourth bit, as you can see, 1 and 1 is equals to 1. And for the rest of operators, that is 1 and 0 or 0 and 0, the output will be 0. Over here it's written 1, but it will be 0. Next is bitwise OR. So OR table is used to perform logical OR, and OR table says that if one of the bits of both operands or both the bits are 1, then the result is 1, else it is 0. So for example, if we want to do select 18 or 16 as result, then first we'll have to convert these two into binary form. After converting into binary form, we'll have to perform OR operation. So in the fourth element, you can see there are two ones. So the output bit will also be 1. 1 because 1 or 1 is 1. And in the second last bit, you can see the second last bit of 18 is 1 and of 16 is 0. But since there is at least 1, the output will be 1 because 1 or 1 is equals to 1. Next bitwise operator is exclusive OR. So exclusive OR table says that if either of the bit operands is 1, result is 1, else it's 0, which means only there should be a single 1. If there are double ones, then the output will be 0, or if there are no ones, still the output will be 0. So there should be only a single 1. For example, if we want to perform the query as select 18 exclusive or 16 as result, then first, after converting them into binary form, we'll apply the exclusive OR operation. So as you can see, in the fourth bit, there are two ones. So 1 exclusive OR 1 is 0. And in the second last bit, there's a single 1. So 1 exclusive OR 0 is equals to 1. So only the second last bit will be 1 of the output. Rest all will be 0. So that's it about these operators. We learn the logical operators in the next lecture. Thank you. Hello. In this lecture, we will learn about the different logical operators in SQL. So let's see what is a logical operator. A logical operator allows you to test for the truth of a condition. So SQL provides 10 logical operators. First is all, and, any, between, exists, in, like, not, is null, and unique. So in this lecture, we will see all of these operators in detail. Let's start with all operator. So what is all operator? All operator compares specific value to all values of another value set. Let's understand it with the help of an example. So from this table, if we want to find the details of those students whose age is greater than the age of those students with marks above 56. Again, I'll repeat. If we want to find the details of students whose age is greater than age of all students with marks above 56. In that case, first we'll have to find the age of those students who have marks greater than 56. So we'll have to run a nested query over here where the inner query is the query in bracket. So first the inner query will be executed. So after execution of inner query, it will display the ages of those students who have marks greater than or equal to 56. So according to the table, if you see, Rachel, Carrie and Sky have marks greater than and equal to 56. So their ages, that is 17, 18 and 16 will be displayed. So now next, what does the problem statement say? Find the details of those students whose age is greater than all students with marks greater than equal to 56. So after executing the inner query, first the all operator means compare with the maximum value. Okay. So what is the output of inner query? 17, 18 and 16. So what is the maximum value among these three? 18. So we'll have to compare it with the maximum value, that is 18. So we have to find the details of those students whose age is greater than 18. So in this case, Alice and Bob have age greater than 18. So their details will be displayed in the output table. Okay, so what does this query mean? Select star, that is all the details from those students whose age is greater than all values of this inner query. So what are all the values? 17, 18 and 16. So if the age is greater than the maximum value, which means the age is also greater than the other two values. Okay, that's why we compare it with the maximum value. So select details of all students who have age greater than the maximum value, that is 18. So what will be the result in the output? Alice and Bob, as they have age 20. Second is the AND operator. So AND operator allows user to mention multiple conditions in SQL statements where clause. The AND operator displays a record if all the conditions that are separated by AND are true. For example, from this table, if we want to find the names of those students who have marks greater than 50 and age greater than 17. So in order to display the output, the students should have both. Marks also they should have greater than 50 and age also should be greater than 17. If only one condition is true, then the output will not be displayed. Both the conditions should be true. So in this case, only Alice and Carrie have marks greater than 50 and age greater than 17, so their names are displayed. Next is the any operator. So what any operator does is, it compares a specific value to any applicable value present in set as per condition. For example, from this table, if you want to find the details of those students whose age is greater than age of any students whose marks are above 56. So first we'll have to find the age of those students who have marks greater than or equal to 56. So we'll run an inner query for that. Select age from students where marks is greater than or equal to 56. So what will be the output table? The last three rows of Rachel, Carrie and Sky, as they have marks greater than or equal to 56. So in all operator, we used to compare with the maximum value. And now in any operator, we are going to compare with the minimum value. So the query is same as it was in all, but over here in any, we just have to compare with the minimum value. So who has the minimum age among Rachel, Carrie and Sky? Sky, he has age 16. So we'll compare. We have to find the details of those students whose age is greater than age of Sky. So who has age greater than Sky? Alice, Bob, Rachel and Carrie. So their details will be displayed in the output table. Okay, so let's understand it once again. So we have to find the details of those students whose age is greater than age of any students with marks above 56. So for that, we'll have to run the inner query. After running the inner query, whatever will be the output will be 17, 18 and 16, since we have selected only age. And then in any operator means comparing with minimum value. So minimum value is 16. So we have to compare it with 16. So details of all those students who have age greater than 16 will be displayed. Okay. Next is between. So what between operator does is, it searches for values within a range mentioned with maximum and minimum values given. So for example, in this table, if we want to find the names of those students who have age between 16 and 18, so in between operator, we have to also include the minimum and maximum values. That is, in this query, we'll also have to include those students who have age 16 and 18. So Rachel, Carrie and Sky, they have their ages between 16 and 18. So their details are displayed. So in this, I have by mistakenly written name, but there should be star since all the details are displayed. There will not be name, there will be star in place of name. Next is exists. Search for the presence of a row in a specified table that meets a certain criterion. Now let's see what do we mean by this. For example, if we want to find the details of students who have enrolled in more than one subject, so how will we find it? So what this exist operator does is, first it will run the outer query, that is select star from student. So the first table of student will be displayed. So after that it will take the first row of student table and then it will check if any value in the first row of student corresponds to any value in the first row of subject table. If yes, in this case the student ID is same in both the tables, so it will print the first row of student. So in simpler words, it will check if student.student ID is equals to subject.student ID. So if it is true, then it will return, the inner query will return a boolean value true, which means there exists a value where student.student ID is equals to subject.student ID. There exists a value, so you can print the detail of that student. So in this case, it will check for all the rows of student table. If there exists a value for student.student ID is equals to subject.subject ID, then it will print all the details of those students in rows. So in this case, see the student ID for Bob is 2, and if you see in the second table, there doesn't exist any student ID 2. So in the result table, you can't see the details of Bob. Next operator is in operator. So what in operator does is it compares a value to a list of specified literal values. For example, in this query, select star from student with department ID in 101 and 102. So it will look for all of those values who have department 101 and 102. It will look for all of those students. So in this case, Alice, Bob and Rachel have department 101 and 102. So their details are displayed. Next operator is like operator. So like operator compares a specific value to similar values using wildcard operators. Let's see what is a wildcard operator as well. So for example, from this table, if I want to find details of those students whose name begin with A letter, I want to find the details of those students whose name begin with letter A. So what I will write in that case, select star from student where name like A underscore and then percentage. So percentage sign is a wildcard character which is used to specify beginning or ending of any word. In this case, since percentage sign is written after A, it specifies that the word starts with A. Okay. So after executing this query, we'll get the output where details of Alice are displayed because her name begins with A. If you write percentage sign before A, then it depicts that the word ends with A. Next operator is not operator. So it is used to it is a negate operator which is used to reverse meaning. For example, if we want to find the details of those students who do not belong to department 102, I'll write the query as select star from student where not department is equals to 102. So it will display details of all those students who do not belong to department 102. Next operator is OR operator. It combines multiple conditions in SQL statements where clause. So in OR operator, any one of the where condition should be true at least. So if we want to find the details of those students who have either marks greater than 17 or age greater than 17 or both. So in the output table, you can see the details of Alice, Bob and Carrie are displayed. So Alice has marks 55, which is less than 70, but she has age 20, which is greater than 17. So at least one condition is true. So our details are displayed. Again for Bob also has age greater than 17. So one condition is satisfied. So his details are displayed. And for Carrie, both the conditions are true. That's also fine. So his details are also displayed. So at least one condition should be true. Okay. Next is null operator. So what is null does is it compares a specific value with null value. For example, in this query, select, for example, if you want to find names of those students who have null marks, that is who do not have any marks. So in that case, I will write the query as select name from student where marks is null. So in the output table, details of those students will be displayed who have null marks. So over here, marks of Ross are not given. So his details will be displayed in the output table. So this query is very useful if you want to find those students who have null marks. So in order, if you want to find those students who have not given the exam, so in that case, you can execute this query to find that out. Next is unique operator. So what unique operator does it searches every row of a specified table for unique values. For example, in this table, if we want to find out those department IDs, who have only one student, okay, means the department ID should be unique. Only one student should belong to a department ID. And we are applying a condition as well that the marks should also not be null. So in that case, we write the query as select unique department ID from student where marks is not null. So in the output table, you can see department ID 101, 102 and 103 because only one student belongs to each of these department IDs and the marks are also not null. So if you see in the first table, Ross has department ID 104, which is also unique. But since the marks are null over there, we have not included that row. So what is the condition? Department ID should be unique plus marks should also not be null. So in the output table, department ID 101, 102 and 103 will be displayed. Hello, in this lecture, we will learn about the views in SQL. So what is a view? View is a virtual table based on the result set of a query expression. Suppose we have a table which has too many columns, but we only need 2-3 columns. So in that case, to ease out the task, we will create a virtual table consisting of only those columns which we need. So that is the use of view. So why is it used? It is used to restrict data access, to make complex queries easier, as we will be converting the table into a much simpler table, and to summarize data from multiple tables. Let's see how to create a view. Syntax for creating a view is create view, view name as query expression, then select column names from table name and then apply the where condition if you want to. Let's understand it with the help of an example. So in this, we learn how to create view from a single table. So suppose there's this table named student, and from this table we only want 2 columns, that is name and email, and we want the records only up to student ID less than 4. So in that case, we'll write the query as create view student details, where student details is the name of virtual table. You can give any name as select name and email. Here you have to write the column names that you want to see in your virtual table. Here I have selected the column names name and email. From student which is the name of original table, where student ID is less than 4. Here I have applied a condition that I want the name and email of only those students who have student ID less than 4. So after executing this query, a virtual table will be created. But if you want to see that virtual table, we have to execute one more query, that is select star from student details, which means extract all the data from that table and display it. So after executing these two queries, we can see the result table, virtual table, as our output. So a table named student details is created, which has only two columns, name and email, and only records name and email of only those students is displayed who have student ID less than 4. Then let's see how to create a view from multiple tables. Suppose we have two tables, student and department, and we have to create a virtual table which only has name and department name. Now if you see, the name column is in the student table and the department name column is in the department table. So in order to create a virtual table that will contain columns from both the tables, first we have to establish a relationship between these two tables. So how can we establish it? If you see, in these two tables there's one common column called as department ID. So we'll have to write a statement as student.department ID is equals to department.department ID. This statement will establish a relationship between these two departments. So the query will be create view student underscore department, which is the name of virtual table. Then select name and department name. These two are the columns that we want to see in our virtual table. From student department, which are the original tables, where student.department ID is equals to department.department ID. This statement is very important. So you will have to write the name of original tables first, then dot and name of common column name. So after executing this query, you will have the table, a virtual table, which is like the combination of both the tables because it has name column from student table and department name column from department table. So if in the first student table, if you see, Alice has department ID as 104, and in the department table, ID 104 is for mechanical department. So in the resultant virtual table, you can see Alice belongs to mechanical department. So in this way, it will establish relationship between these two tables according to the department ID. Okay. Now let's see how can you update a view. So after creating a view, if you want to update it, like if you want to add an extra column in the virtual table or you want to delete a column, you can do it with the help of update view. Syntax for update view is create or replace view name as query expression, and select the column names from table names, and then there is where condition. Let us understand it with the help of example. Now earlier we created a table named student department. So in that table there were two columns, name and email. Now if I want to add an extra column to it, marks as well. So in that case, I'll write the query as, if you want to create a new view, then you will use the create keyword, or else if you just want to replace it, you will use the replace keyword. So there's create or replace view, then there is the name of virtual table, student department, and then there's select name, department name, marks, which are the column names you want to see, from student and department, which are the original table names, where student.department ID is equals to department.department ID. So here we are establishing the relation between these two tables. After this, a virtual table will be created, but it will not be displayed. In order to display it, we have to run one more query, that is select star from student department. After executing these two queries, we will get the output virtual table, which will contain of 3 columns: name, department name, and marks. Since in this case we have not used any less than or equal to operator, so it will just display all the records as it is. Next is rename view. If you want to rename the virtual table, you can use rename view to do that. Syntax for that is alter view, view name, and then rename to new view name. Suppose if I want to change the name of that view or virtual table to student marks. So what I will write, alter view student department. Student department is the existing name of that view, and rename to student marks. I want to replace the name student department to student marks. So I'll write the query as alter view student department and then rename to student marks. So it will rename the query to student marks. Next is drop view. If you want to delete the view or the virtual table, you can use drop view for that. Syntax is drop view, view name. For example, if I want to delete the virtual table named student department, I'll write the query as drop view student department. Hello, in this lecture I'll demonstrate how to run your SQL queries on MySQL server. So after opening MySQL Workbench, this is the screen you will see, where first you will have to create a connection by adding the connection name, and then you'll have to click on OK button. After clicking on OK, it will ask for your password. Since I've already created a connection named sample, I'll use it. You have to enter your password, and then it will take you to this screen where you can run your queries. So I've already written the queries. I'll execute and show it to you. So first what I've done, first I've created a database named record. So I'll select that statement and I'll run it. So you can see this button executes the selected portion of the script or everything. So I've selected create database named record. You can give any name to the database. So as you can see at the bottom of the screen, there's a green tick, which means we have successfully created a database named record. And now to use that database, we'll add one more SQL query, that is use record. So now our database is ready for using. Now in that database, I have added two tables. The first is employee table. In employee table, I have created 3 columns. Employee name, varchar. Varchar is the data type that will be used for this particular column. And street varchar and city varchar. So I'll select this and I'll execute it. So our table named employee is successfully created. Now if I want to see our table, then I'll write the query as select star from employee, which means select all the details from employee, all the columns from employee. So as you can see, this is the structure of a table which has 3 columns: employee name, street, and city. Now let's create one more table like this. So for that table also we'll create in the database named record. So again I'll have to write use record and run it. And now I can add one more table in that database. So in this table named works, I've added 3 columns: employee name, company name, and salary. Since salary will take numeric values, I've specified the data type integer over here. So as you can see at the bottom of the screen, a table is created. Now if I want to see that table, I'll run this query select star from works. I'll execute it, and this is the structure of a table named works, which has 3 columns: employee name, company name, and salary. Now if I want to insert values in those tables, what was this command for that? Insert into table name and then the values that you want to enter. So employee table had 3 columns: employee name, street and city. So I'll write the insert command as insert into employee values, where Alice is the employee name, 101A is the street name, and Berlin is the city name. In this way, you can enter records into your table. So I have added 3 rows. I'll execute it. So now the data has been successfully added in in employee table. If I want to see that data, I'll have to run one more command, that is select star from employee. So if I execute it, you can see data has been added in our table named employee. So Alice belongs to street 101 and city Berlin. Bob belongs to street 102B in city Warsaw, and Carrie 103 in Ottawa. Now if I want to add data in works table, I'll write the insert command as insert into works values Alice, Samsung and 50,000, because works table has 3 columns: employee name, company name and salary. So I'll have to add values that will go in that respective columns. So I've added employee name as Alice, company name is Samsung and salary 50,000. In this way, you can add data in your table. So I'll execute it. And if I want to see that data, then I'll have to write this command as select star from works. So you can see this is a table named works which has this data, and now we'll run queries based on these tables. We have created a database, we have created tables, we have added data in the tables, and now we'll execute some queries based on these tables. For example, if I want to find the employee name of those employees whose salary is more than 50,000, so I'll write the query as select employee name from works where salary is greater than 50,000. So I'll run this query. Let's see what we get in the output. We get Bob and Carrie's name because their salary was 60,000 and 70,000, which is greater than 50,000. So their names are displayed. Next is, if we want to select salary and city of those students who belong to company Amazon, of those employees who belong to company Amazon. So if you see, the salary column is in works table and the city column is in employee table. So first we'll have to establish a relationship between these two tables. If you see, employee name is the common column between these two tables. So we'll write the query as select salary city from employee E and works W, where E dot employee name is equals to W dot employee name. So what are we doing over here? We are establishing a relationship between the two tables, and company name is equals to Samsung. So we'll execute it. So as you can see, this is the salary and city of those employee who belong to company Samsung. As you can see in this table, works table, Alice belongs to Samsung with salary 50,000. So her salary and city is displayed. So when you want to select those attributes which belong to two different tables, so in that case, first you will have to establish a relationship between those two tables. So this statement is very important. Next, if you want to find the company name of those employees whose name starts with A, in that case, I'll write the query as select company name from works. Since company name belongs to table works, I'll let the query select company name from works, where company name like a underscore percent. So what percent depicts? It depicts beginning or end of any word. So over here percentage sign is written after the letter, which means the letter word starts with A. So if I want to find the employees whose name begins with A, I'll write it as like A underscore and then person. So over here we want to display the company name. So I'll execute the query and you can see the company name is ACES. If I want to display all the details, I'll write it as star. Select star from works where company name like A. So you can see the employee name is Carrie, who works in a company that starts with A and his salary is 70,000. You can also find the employee names whose name starts with A. You just have to change employee name over here instead of company name. Then if we want to find the number of employees that are present in this records database, then we write the query as select count star from employees. What is count? It is an aggregate function used to count the number of rows. So you can see there are 3 number of rows, so the count is written as 3. We have added 3 records, no? Alice, Bob and Carrie. 3 records are present. So 3 will be displayed. Now if you want to find who has the maximum salary, then we'll have to run the query in this way. Select max salary from works. Salary is a column that belongs to works table. So we write select max salary from works. Max is an aggregate function. We'll run this query. So we can see 70,000 is the maximum salary. If you want to find, yeah, so 70,000 is the maximum salary. And if I want to find the natural join between these two tables, that is employee and works, then I'll write the query as select star from employee natural join works. So after executing, you can see both these tables are joined. Employee name was the common column between these two tables, but it is written only once because natural join eliminates the duplicate common columns. So in this way, we can run queries on MySQL server. So thank you. This is all about our course. We hope you liked our course. Thank you.